Welcome back to the Always Aggressive podcast. Corey Palm, Tanner Lipset, Coach Tony Ursuline, and special guest Peyton Stovall joining us this week. Peyton, great to see you as always. I want to get your title right here. I got to pull it up. The Assistant Athletics Director for Student Athlete Development here with Purdue Athletics. Welcome to the podcast. Good to see you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know, it was funny, one of those things. Peyton comes up to me a few weeks ago and he's like, "What? I got to be on the podcast." He's like, "When can I be on the podcast?" And it was like, "Well, okay, soon. Let's do it." So
I guess we're in demand too. When a guy like Peyton covers that title covers a lot of ground, right? Like there's a lot of ground covered there. So when we get a guy like him on, we know we must be doing something right.
Yeah, I've been watching the show. I'm like, man, I got to get on here somehow, some way. So I had to give you bust your chops a little bit, and here I am.
Did you think it would be that easy to get on? Did you think there would have to be more push than that, or? Well,
you started off saying, there is a wait list, and you'll get in at some point, but we'll get you on. So I appreciate you treat me like like anybody else.
Absolutely. A little more background on Peyton for our listeners here and viewers. Former Division I student athlete. Played basketball, played hoops over at Ball State. Lafayette native, Peyton, is that correct?
That's correct. Lafayette Jeff
High School, came back, was the athletics director at his alma mater here in town in the greater Lafayette area. And then we stole him. We brought him over, and it's been all sunshine and rainbows ever since.
Yeah, cookies and bubbles. It's been great so far. I tell you, everything that everybody's doing here. The opportunity to come over here and be part of this organization was exciting, appealing. For me, I'm a longtime Boilermaker fan, so to be part of this family on the inside and be able to make some moves and move the needle here, to be one of the best in the Big Ten was exciting for me. So excited to be part of this family.
Peyton, I guess let's start here. What does your position here in the athletic department, for those that don't know, what does it entail? What is it, what does your day-to-day look like as far as your opportunity to work it with Purdue and with our student athletes?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So student athlete development, initially, when I graduated, it was back in 2008. It was, we just want to make sure student athletes are, across the country, that student athletes are getting the degree. And that was kind of, the standard, like, hey, as long as you get your degree, you're good to go. We did our job, and now it's evolved over time where it's been a focus on not only your degree, but how can we prepare you for life after sport, and then also connect you with our alumni base, so that way we have some opportunities as well as you graduate. And in between there, we want to get some championships, right? We want to make sure that we're winning and that we're always staying aggressive in everything that we do. When it comes to academics, athletics, life, all those things. So we get after it here in the athletic department. In our program is called Empower, and our job is to help each one of the student athletes grow holistically. So when it comes to their leadership, their professional career development, their community service, and then just their overall personal growth. So that's our job. Is ultimately we're preparing them for life after sport.
You teed up Empower there. And so let's head down that road a little bit. And I kind of want to hear what Urs has to think about this too. But, with NIL coming out, and you have seen across the country, all of these schools pop up with these programs and these tag, everybody grabbed a different tag word and set forth to have a program. They, videos, graphics, all kinds of stuff. Why is Empower different at Purdue from what other schools are doing?
Yeah, Tony can speak to this too, but and I think everybody on here, but Empower is exactly what Purdue kind of stands for. Is we're putting elevating the voice of the student athlete. I think that's what we've been really great at here at Purdue, and really have hung our hat on is we're empowering our student athletes to be themselves, to grow, and then to be successful. And I think that's the space that really defines us and stand us apart from everybody else. Is we're not going to stop educating the student athletes when it comes to everything they do. So although this NIL is a huge part of and a huge change to college athletics and the landscape of college athletics, that's not going to change our approach to education. We're going to continue to educate kids, all the facts around NIL. We're going to continue to educate them when it comes to, like I said, those 5 pillars of success: the leadership, the career professional, the personal, and that community service. All those things are going to align, and that's going to help our student athletes build their brand. So the better we can educate them on those 5 pillars and help them grow in each one of those areas, name, image, likeness is going to develop just solely from those things, because we're becoming better people. And so, as we all know, more people want to, businesses want to attach themselves to folks that are well-rounded, and have those things, are well equipped. I think that's what we're trying to do for our student athletes, is not give them opportunities or say we can do these a bunch of different things for them. We're going to equip them with the right tools, educate them on the on the important information, so that way they can take care of themselves long term. And then there's going to be those, as a group of student athletes, it could be small, it could be large, that are really interested in that's entrepreneurship. I think that part right there is where we got one of the best business schools in the country, in Krannert. And so we've been working really closely with them to offer opportunities for our student athletes, and some of the best professors across the country, to impact them here in our footprint of student athletes, and help with all those questions when it comes to building your own business, building your brand, being authentic about those things. So that's how those connections are made when it comes to name, image, likeness. And we're going to keep doing what we do, and that's education. And then we're going to trust them with those tools, and then we're going to help them be great entrepreneurs.
Urs, would love to. Peyton did a smashing job there. But would love to hear kind of from a wrestling point of view, and from a team point of view, kind of what that has added to the landscape.
Yeah, no, I think, it's a brave new world. And as a coach, you're always worried about where this is going to take you, both in your culture, right, as a team in the locker room, as well as performance. And what I do appreciate about this approach, what I've become comfortable with, is it keeps the main thing still, right? Like your degree and your athletic, what you're trying to accomplish as far as goals, it keeps those at the forefront, and it makes those are still important. Certainly building your brand and learning how to do that comes along with it, but it keeps the main thing, right? And I think we all believe, and what I've really enjoyed during my time at Purdue is we know that, instilling discipline, growing, adapting, changing, learning, like those are all parts of your journey to winning championships. Like that's what I believe. Yes, there's a technical aspect to this, right? There's a technical and a skill aspect that we instill in all of our kids. But none of that happens if you don't have, that discipline instilled, the willingness to adjust, to adapt, to change, to grow. And that's really what this is about. We're going to all have to adjust, grow, learn, but still keep the main thing, right? And then the kids, if they understand, I keep my priorities in line, they still have the best chance to build their brand and create that for themselves down the road. And I strongly believe in that. And I think that's what you hear, obviously, from Peyton and the way Purdue is going to approach this. And I'm very comfortable with that.
As we have started to see student athletes, there's obviously some wrestlers, but just going across all sports, as they start to take advantage of this new thing in college athletics, how has it changed your day to day, Peyton? How has it altered things for you personally?
Yeah, so it's definitely changed the dynamic, but it hasn't changed again like our approach. So we've had several student athletes that are still interested, and our job is to make sure that we're getting internships, jobs, opportunities. So we're building these network events, right? So we're having these events, and student athletes are going to these events, and they're bring their best to the plate when they're mock interviews or doing these resume builds, and they're having opportunity then and there without facilitation from our end to connect with these employers. So they're having the opportunity to interact and almost sell their brand as they're doing these networking events for jobs and internships. And you're seeing some folks are turning around and saying, man, we'd like to endorse this student athlete. Like, let's figure out a way to make these connections somewhere else. So I think those are some of the things that we're finding, that, we're not hunting down opportunities and things like that, but we are connecting them in terms of, building their network. And those things are turning into opportunities. So our number one goal is make sure that student athletes are making those connections, and they are, because they're doing what they're supposed to do on the other end, and coming to events and learning those things. I think I go back and think about Kendall Coleman. He came to a PepsiCo sales call last year, and those things are going to continue. Nate Cummings is our president-elect, and then we got guys like Devin Schroeder, he worked with Marathon Pipeline. So there's different opportunities that are growing from just these networking events that I think are going to continue to really help us long term.
Corey, that's something I never really thought of, and I'm kind of, the idea that with this NIL stuff has guys, do interviews and take internships and whatnot, that could turn into a sponsorship deal or an NIL type thing. And that's a weird spin that I hadn't even really thought of or considered.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's sort of an unintended consequence, I would say, probably. Like when NIL first came about, it's not something that was not front of mind for anybody. That type of an outcome. That's really cool to see that that's possible. But like you said, Peyton, that's only really possible because of the infrastructure that was in place beforehand, and being able to facilitate as a department these meetings so that maybe you can get those outcomes. What I love is that so much of the college experience now is the actual experiential component of it. You get an internship, you get a co-op, you get maybe you take a year off and you go work somewhere as a college student. A lot of those opportunities in the past haven't been available or as available to student athletes because the athlete side of it is such a commitment. But that's sort of, it seems like that's again where you guys come into play a little bit and help facilitate so that they can have the true college experience while also doing the athletics.
Yeah, that's a great point. Our team is myself, Paul Leaf, who's our assistant director for student athlete development. He helps a lot with the professional career. Candace Britton, who is our tutor coordinator, but she's also helping with our student athlete advisory committee and our D&I section. And then we just hired Lorinda Holston, who's coming to us from Georgia Tech. She just started here recently, going to help a lot with the community service. So our team is really funneling as many opportunities as we can. We understand, we're talking to employers that understand that, the student athlete time commitment is, it's tough, right? From morning, first thing they wake up in the morning, they're working out, weights, all those things are going on. They got to go to class. There's an expectation to keep up with your health, your mental health, take care of your bodies, all those things. And then we're, saying we also want you after practice to come and do one of these networking events. So we're really, when it comes to it, we're low key with it. And these employers also understand that, like, hey, we want them because that's the type of build they have. that's the type of, like we say, like right now, they're always aggressive, like always. I love it. And that's the type of mentality that these employers want on their team. So we're doing a lot of things that those connections are coming in the evening, after everything takes place for a student athlete. So there's a lot of they're going above and beyond the expectations of a student athlete and going to these events, and then it's working out for them really well.
Tony, how does it make you feel to, Peyton sits here and talks, and he's rattling like, a handful of our guys off the top of his head that have taken advantage of some of these opportunities. As a coach, how does that make you feel to know that somebody in Peyton's position is that in tune with what's going on with your team specifically?
No, it makes you feel really good, especially, from an Olympic sports, standpoint, right? There's no professional sports right here. And then these young men, you want them to go on and be better prepared for life. So I think it's a huge part of kind of our goal. If you look at it, from a coaching aspect, right, it's more about educational leadership than anything. Yes, the results matter. And competing in the Big Ten, we compete at the highest level, but it's as much educational leadership and coaching as anything. And, I think the other important thing to note is, you're creating the opportunity. That's been the word to me. You're not giving a kid a job, right? But you're creating an opportunity, and now it's up to them to leverage that into something that is going to be productive for them in the rest of their life. And I'm always proud to say we have a lot of guys who've done that. I mean, Jared Florell, you talk about him and what he's going on and what he's doing. Max Lyon has a job. We had him on here a couple of weeks ago. He has a job with Target Secured from his internship this summer. So it's nice to see these kids take those opportunities and make the most of them, right? Because that's what you want. You hope you give them the opportunity and they seize it and they capitalize on it. Just like any moment on the court or on the mat, here's your opportunity. Let's make the most of it. Let's seize this and capitalize on it. And so it makes you kind of feel good as a coach to see these opportunities leveraged and pay off for the kids.
Yeah. And I'll tag in there real quick.
Absolutely.
Tanner, just to tag on to coach, nothing's better than jumping on a phone call, now Zoom call, jumping on a call with, a former Boilermaker in some capacity. Either it's a coach, former GA, or former student athlete. So they were part of the Boilermaker family, like Daniel Lewis, was on a call with him last week about, how can we hire more student athletes, more Boilermaker student athletes. He wants to make those connections. Obviously he wasn't, he's a transplant. He was wasn't a Boilermaker at heart, right? At the beginning, but he got here and he realized he's part of your program. I love this place. So now he's recruiting Purdue student athletes on the business side. And I think that's awesome. And we're going to continue to build those relationships.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
It's great that we still have D-Lou close by and still involved, and to hear that he's even more involved than we knew he was involved. That's exciting for Purdue all around. In addition to, some of the job stuff and the internship stuff, we have seen Boilermaker student athletes secure some of these NIL deals and do some different things. It's crazy because you see in mass media, you see the deals about, football players or basketball players doing 6-figure, 7-figure deals that just seem like out there, right? It's hard to process that for a college kid who's, maybe 17, 18 years old. But it's different for all of them, right? Like there's different levels of the hustle here, and you've got kids with different types of deals. And so I guess, Urs, what has it been like to see, the education that's funneling from Peyton and his team into the roster as they start to navigate these waters?
I mean, and I'll go back. I'm probably going to repeat myself here a little bit, but my message to the team is this is a good thing for you guys to take advantage of. I think it's a positive thing overall, no doubt, but let's make sure that we keep the main thing. And let's keep our priorities straight. And I've always believed, like I said, that this goes hand in hand with national championships and success. is that discipline and the way you operate at a high level every day. That's how we get to be successful. We operate at a high level every day, and we instill discipline in what we do. And so let's just keep the main thing the main thing. And then as you have opportunities, right, that come forth and are presented, and you learn how to take advantage of them from Peyton, from Empower, from Purdue, hey, go ahead and feel free to do that. But let's make sure we understand that why we're here, and let's keep that the important thing, and we'll all reap the benefits of success together.
Question for everybody. Feel free to jump in. What is the, not necessarily the most lucrative, but like the coolest, and we can't use names, but like, what is the coolest NIL deal that people have seen so far?
Man.
I defer to you. You probably more in the loop than I am on this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that have been out there, but this is what I'll say too. And when we talk about the coolest deals, I think what's really cool for us, our student athletes, is so far. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of deals going out there, but man, our student athletes seem to be so focused in on, like Tony said, why they came here. Not more of, oh, here's a pretty penny out there, let me go chase it. More of, I came here for athletics and academics. I'm going to be part of one of the best, organizations, institutions across the country. I'm going to get a degree from this place. Like, that's what's most important for our student athletes. I think that's what's really cool that I've seen amongst our student athletes, that they sometimes they even remind me, hey, this is great. Nothing's better than being part of an organization and an institution that is a championship caliber. That's going to help build your brand more than anything, right? And I think that's what is really cool here. Now, that being said, I think there's also, I love, we're working on some things behind the scenes that will come up here, and I think will definitely help all our student athletes when it comes to name, image, likeness. But probably some of the crazy deals I've seen out there is, some student athletes leaving high school early and to college. I think that's probably the wildest thing I've seen so far.
Sure. That's been nuts.
That's kind of crazy.
That's wild. Not only do you chuck the college, let's just chuck the high school education too. That would scare me. Stay in school, kids. There's your public school announcement. Stay in school.
There's some wild stuff. I will say one of the more refreshing conversations I've had with a student athlete, and I won't say names here, but I had a young man on our roster who, was asking some questions about NIL and what he could do and what he couldn't do. And his thought was, I'm not going to worry about it this year. I haven't done what I want to do yet. I'm going to go focus on wrestling and school and take care of that. And then, when I achieve my goals, when I do what I want to do, that stuff will just take care of itself. It'll work itself out, and I can probably take advantage at that point. And that was a moment of pride, I think, for the program, and for, knowing that we work with some pretty good kids.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll say something on a funny note. When you're talking about maybe some interesting things or funny things, we've had a few gentlemen reach out to hair care product companies. I'll let you guys know who that might be. But I've seen funny things. I mean, I'll just tell you hear some interesting stuff from the kids joking, but I've heard everything from vitamins, which you got to check that stuff out, but to hair care stuff, to camps, to clinics, to clothing, right? There's all of those options out there for guys, and then other things I've not even thought about, that Peyton's, I'm going to catch us all up on it and educate us on as we go through this. But I did find that was funny that we had some guys who reached out to some hair care product people like, hey, check this out. I can represent you.
The mullet competition in the room is serious.
It's strong. Yes.
There's a legit front runner, but yeah, there's some guys who are throwing their hat in the ring to take a swing at the title. I am obviously not one of them.
No, you're not winning that competition, buddy.
No.
Neither's Peyton, and I'm not either. I mean, we got you, buddy.
Mullet's got a nice head of hair.
Somebody needs to let these boys know that winning the mullet competition is not something to be proud of. This is not a good thing.
Listen, I've got a theory though. If you grow the mullet, and this is going sideways a little bit, but
we never do that.
Gotta be strong. Like to me, having a mullet is like 10% strength, because if you're gonna rock one of those things, you're gonna have to throw down a few times. People are gonna want to test you. So
this is true.
A sign of power a little bit, maybe it's a little.
I think we need to should we make a trophy or something like that, or get like a sleeveless denim jacket to give whoever's the best mullet?
Oh gosh.
People might want to check Twitter polls later this fall. I think we're gonna have to have a vote on social media for it.
Oh man.
We need to get some really artsy photography of the mullets too. We'll call up Charles or hit up the new photographer here in athletics. And see if we can get some really artsy mullet shots, and we can put them out there. We can put them out there for the fans.
Remember, Peyton, you asked to be a part of this conversation, brother.
I chose. I made the decision.
It's a wise decision.
It was great.
An interesting. We're going to stay off the. We're going to go off the rails still a little bit more.
Okay.
Want to ask Peyton, one of the reasons this came about, Peyton and I are part of a special fraternity here in the athletic department of getting to play noon hoops together. Peyton obviously goes out and flaunts his skills. He tries to be low key about it. He doesn't try to go into takeover mode. I will tip my hat to him in that regard. But the noon hoops fraternity and sorority, for that matter, is an interesting group here at Purdue. It kind of flies, like, people don't go casually wrestle. So I kind of wanted to listen to both. I want to hear what Erzlin thinks about this as well, as far as it's a common thing for a bunch of people to get together and play hoops for exercise. Nobody really just gets together and wrestles for fun.
I think we should.
And so I kind of wanted to hear, no, we shouldn't.
2 minute goes. Let's go.
I kind of wanted to hear, Peyton, what have you thought about the noon ball crowd? And I would love to hear your insights on Corey's suggestion of a noon wrestling crowd.
Wrestling. Well, I definitely like the thought of, it's all about the thought. You're right. So we can make something happen with noon wrestling. I really think something like this could happen.
Wow.
I would love to see that take place. Maybe like Calvin and Patrick Crawford really get after it in a wrestling match. I think that would be entertaining. For sure.
Hey, Peyton, I hear Ed Howitt plays a pretty physical game in noon ball. Maybe Ed on the noon wrestling thing could be a good career move for him.
I think that is, it's always kind of been on his mind. Just talking to him is, how can I get in the wrestling mat? I'm wrestle Ed. He's my direct superior. I don't think it's a good, idea for me professionally, but I'd love to set someone else up.
Hey, we'll up the ante. We'll go takedowns for $1. We'll get you guys in there and it's takedowns for $1. Guys are going to be making some money. Right?
I don't know.
You can take some money off Ed, right?
I don't know if Tom Mitchell
have the guy would have to slide you a $5.
I don't know. I don't know that we could get that one through compliance.
We're all professionals.
We're gonna have to send that to the judges.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, Jacqueline's going to shut us down on that. Jacqueline Mitchell might have something to say. I don't know.
I think they would be fine. I think it's going to be, and his team, the trainer, the athletic training team is going to be like, hey, we're not fitting the bill for any of your injuries. We're not doing that. So if you want to play, go ahead and wrestle. But I love the noon ball mainly because it gives you opportunity. People are coming from all angles of the department. You get the chance to get to know names, and especially for new guys like me that came in 3 years ago, and you get to see and meet different people. And I think that's what it's mainly about, is that interaction amongst your colleagues in the department. So I love it. If we can figure out a wrestling one, let's get that done.
I
You know,
would.
it's funny.
Hey, and we've been doing a lot of Twitter polls here. I know we've talked about album covers and basketball and wrestling movies here, but I think we should, Corey, maybe we should try to get a poll going about it. If we can get Tanner Singlet and get him to wrestle a guy, I'd probably give him maybe D or somebody would give him a lightweight and maybe film this thing. That might be. I think this is where we should go with it. It's only fair.
It's only
It
fair.
gets worse and
Yes.
worse.
I am not in the business of I should say this in general, purposely embarrassing myself. I would, yeah, I mean,
Your wife might disagree.
You're working in a tough sport, Tanner. You're working in a tough sport.
yeah, but in no way, there is no one, and there is literally no one who wants to see me in a singlet.
Oh,
There is zero
Twitter
people.
might tell us otherwise. Let's let the
No.
people speak.
People would say it for a laugh, but I don't think anybody actually wants to subject themselves to that. Nobody wants to see that.
We do an either or. Would you rather see Tanner in a singlet or Tanner wrestle Devin Schroeder?
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
like lose
I like that.
lose.
Yes, it
that's
is
a
for you.
lose.
Attaboy.
You know, Peyton, you'll find this amusing. Like, so when I still go back and play hoops these days, which is getting fewer and further between because I'm getting old, I come back and Erzlin laughs. Like, I mean, he will stand at my door and laugh at me because, in his words, he's like, "You look like you just had a stroke. Are you okay?"
And it's
You know,
that
he's
way for
worried
like
about
2 hours.
It's like, you know, we go down there and like it's, you know, Mackey. There's no Aaron Mackey. It's hot in there. You know, we're
It's
sweating.
hot.
And
It's hot.
and you know, and I'm a good 20 pounds overweight probably right now. And so like I come back and you know, we're still sweating for a good hour and a half. And Tony's just like, dude, are you okay? He's like concerned about my health.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, Tony, how bad that would be if I tried to wrestle?
It's probably going to only last a minute, buddy. That's all I can.
That's true.
It's going to be swift. It's
In a
you know, I
minute.
hate to be negative Nelly, glass half empty with you, but it's not going to take long.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you're being generous in a minute, honestly.
I agree.
I think I got a good 35
Let's start
seconds.
training. I'll coach you up. We'll get you in shape. Let's start training.
I don't know. Did you see, Corey? I don't know if you saw this. Stalemates was fishing online for people who had never wrestled before that wanted to be on their next card. They wanted to put
Who
like
cares?
beginner versus beginner and
Oh,
like
that's
pay per view
hilarious.
that.
That'd be wild.
I sent it to Souflon. Souflon's like, yeah, do it. I'm like, no.
No.
Hey, when Tony comes out and plays noon ball, I'll think about it. How's that for a trade?
Interesting.
That could be fair.
I think
I'll play
Tony
noon ball in a
would
singlet.
happily
I won't do
sacrifice,
that.
you know, 45 minutes of running up and down the court to
Yep.
get you out there,
That would be
Yeah.
torture.
put you in a
Yes.
circle.
I don't know if Erzlin could. But you talk about dying. I'd love to see Erzlin go up and down
Hey.
Mackey for 45 minutes.
If that's what it takes to get you out on a mat, I'm in. In.
That's great.
As I said, I would think about it.
Okay. We'll work on it.
We digressed.
Boy, did we.
We digressed.
Yes.
a lot.
Do we have something else important to talk about? I mean, we got Peyton with all kinds of knowledge here, and we're talking about wrestling.
I will say this. This isn't wrestling, but it is Purdue centric. And this definitely involves all of us. Two awesome things are going to happen this weekend. First, Purdue football is back.
All right.
We hosted a night game Saturday night, Oregon State under the lights, approaching a sellout from what I've read in the media, going to be absolutely phenomenal. And in pairing with that, for the first time in a very long time, we will welcome recruits back to campus. And not just wrestling, but all sports. Getting to have these recruiting weekends where young men and women from all over the country get to come to West Lafayette and fulfill some of their dreams of getting to go on a campus visit. And I know that we are all involved in these things in a variety of different ways. And I'm sure that everyone on some level shares my excitement.
100% me as a coach, right? It's been a long time. So yeah, I'm pumped. We've got some really good kids on campus, and it's going to be special and it'll be fun. And I think the weather's going to really cooperate, right? We had this hot spell come through, but it looks to be a fantastic weekend weather-wise as well.
Yeah,
Hey, you fired up?
I'm fired up. Like, not just I'm jacked about it. I'm just pumped. We haven't been able to really be in front of student athletes a whole bunch. Recruits. We got a little bit of taste of that this summer, and then now starting to get them on campus a little bit more, so they can see and feel the experience of being in West Lafayette. Especially on a game or match day, like what that looks like. This campus is buzzing. West Lafayette, they really rally behind Purdue athletics. So this is a true college town. For the student athletes, potential student athletes to come in and get that feel is like nothing else. So I'm excited for these kids, these young folks to come in and their families to come here and experience West Lafayette, that energy, because it's back, baby. We're here.
Corey, you get game day from a very different vantage point. What, how excited are you to get to go back to that kind of work?
Very. I was able to see all of the football games last year in an empty stadium. It's very strange. And the other part of my job on top of doing this nonsense every week or two is I work with a lot of BTN Student U broadcasts. I was at Holloway Gym last Friday night for the first home volleyball match. Fantastic atmosphere. The moment of the weekend was when our the best in the business public address announcer Carson Tucker starts the night with "Welcome back to Holloway Gymnasium." The crowd went ballistic. I got chills. I got legitimate, goosebumps for a few minutes, a few seconds. I won't say a few minutes, but it lingered. It was awesome. I told him afterwards, dude, you have to do that everywhere, always for this entire season. So it's so good to have everything back close to what it should be, and really looking forward to that Saturday night. It's a night game. We're under the lights in prime time. It does not get better than Ross 8 at night. Some things are better than Ross 8 at night, but not many, if you know what I mean. It's going to be good. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And we're not out of the weeds yet,
Right.
We've got a lot of stuff going. But I'd rather, in some areas we got like Holloway, we had to wear the masks inside. I'd much rather that 10 times over. Wear the mask in there, be part of the atmosphere, than not be there at all. So, I'm really appreciative of our fans, this community, for really stepping in and saying, hey, although we hate these masks, and so do I, we're willing to do this in order to support our Boilermakers. And I think that's what really gets me charged up, because they want the experience for student athletes to be the best. And so they're going to be there, and you can hear them through those masks yelling like they don't have one on. It almost feels like that type of energy is there because they've missed it for a year. So, if you're coming to a game, any match, any event, bring that energy. We need you.
Absolutely. Corey, I think we covered everything we intended to, and probably way too much more.
Too much more. The new poll is up. Feel free to get out there, get your vote, be heard.
Do me a favor, everybody. Don't vote.
For the sake of his wife.
We don't want to see him.
We don't want to see him in the leotard, or we don't want to see him. We don't want to see him in a. We don't want to see him get smashed by Devin.
Yep.
We don't need that for his.
Well, so now what I'm thinking too is if he's going to do this, and we don't want him to get hurt, right? He's important to the program. Like we need him. We throw some headgear on, some elbow pads, some knee pads,
We need everything.
Full length tights. Like we go the whole shebang.
If you were really worried about my health, you would just not entertain this idea at all. You would just leave it out, Tony. So
Yeah.
I really feel like your concern here is, I feel as though I'm being made fun of. You know,
No,
You know
It's
what?
hurting
no,
my
we're all
soul.
friends here. It's the trust tree right here. It's the trust.
Yeah, that's right.
I do got to say, Tanner's taken L's in the last couple polls we've run, so maybe we'll be kind to him this time around.
I think
Okay.
I lose. I think I'm taking an L no matter what on this poll.
No, I left you an out. You'll see.
Okay.
an out.
Oh, nice.
There's an
That's
out.
good looks.
The last poll, Field of Dreams, a better sports movie than Hoosiers. Pretty overwhelmingly, 57% to 43%.
Hey, can you help me out here?
Man, that's tough.
It's another basketball guy. Like there's
Basketball guys in Indiana.
I know, and
That
kid
was
from
tough.
Indiana.
That one's tough. Yeah.
I know.
You know,
It's
You can
not.
say it. You go ahead.
It's not.
It won't
tough.
be the popular opinion, but you can say it.
the people spoke. You know.
No.
I don't know what else to tell you.
I expected more
you.
of you, Peyton. I did.
Peyton, appreciate you joining us. This was a blast. I hope you had as much fun as we did.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate
Everybody else, get out there and vote. Hang Tanner out to dry. We'll be back with the results down the road. Boiler up.
it. Well, they're up.